We're in the home stretch, Pool H, the last pool to break down. We're going to do 2 videos today, 2 tomorrow, starting off with Splyce. And again, this is a team that with adding in Hugh, everyone thought, hey, they're going to be good all of a sudden. They had a lot of things to work on. And fortunately, I had a chance to kind of pick the brain of Coach MarkyB as far as how they've been able to take Hugh under their wing and try to find a way to improve all together as a team and not just find one superstar to make their course of Black Ops 4 finish off on this episode of 32 on 32. COD fans, what up? IHOLDSHIFT back with you guys. I will be completely honest with you. I just got done with literally 9.5 hours of casting. And I'm like borderline wired on Monster and also just dead exhausted. So we're going to try to make this as quick as possible. I had a really solid interview with MarkyB talking about this squad. So let's just go ahead and break down this pool. Again, this one is... I don't know how to predict it. I think it's just going to come down to who shows up. That's like the safest fallback thing I can go to. But honestly, it's just going to come down to who comes with the fire from day number 1. Splyce with Heretics, Aspire Esports, and Hybrid Gaming. And Aspire Esports and Hybrid have a lot of potential, as Aspire has a core 4 that have been playing together since right around Fort Worth. And Hybrid Gaming, a number of pros that have been in the mix with Jintroid and BZ, Pander, Spoof, and Stamino. Tough team to break through, but we're not worried about them right now. We're worried about Splyce. And to be candid, there are a lot of things to kind of ask ourselves about this team. They were able to finish 3rd at Vegas, a big finish for them there, even bigger at Fort Worth, where they weren't quite able to get over the Luminosity Rampart hump at Fort Worth, was a 2nd place finish there. And then a slip, top 12 at London, top 8 at Anaheim. Hugh joins the mix, and it's only a top 8 finish as well for Miami. But this team in total is sitting literally as 500 as it gets. They're 22-22 in overall record. They're 86-90 in the map win-loss. Again, just about 500. They're literally right in the middle of the road when it comes to their win-loss ratio. That was also good enough for 3rd place in Division B. And with their finish at Miami, they find themselves in a very difficult pool. Now, as we take a look at this squad in specific, again, these are all the numbers that we've had on this team for the entirety of the year. And again, they're right around even all across the board. You're dealing with a 34-43 overall in hardpoint with an average that's right around even, around 218 to around 218, a 1-point differential in their averages for hardpoint. Doesn't get much more even than that. Search and Destroy, 29-26 in the map win-loss ratio, a 4.64 for them, a 4.55 on average against them. Again, right around the middle of the road. And to finish things off, a 23-21 in control, which is actually pretty good for a win-loss ratio. But their average, 2.07 for them, a 1.98 against them. Again, just going to show that this team has been a little bit all over the place when it comes down to it. Now, the big key, when you take a look at this squad as a whole, is the up and downs that they've been able to face. When they were at Anaheim, their Search and Destroy was popping off. And even just before that, their divisional they had before Anaheim, it was pretty solid when their Search and Destroy. You then get to Miami, and their Search and Destroy was also pretty good. A 2-1 there is what they were able to do in their 3 matches versus Gen.G, Heretics, and Reciprocity. But it's been their control that's kind of been the weakest for this team going forward. And their hardpoint, not the greatest at Anaheim. They were 1-5 in control at Anaheim. They were 2-8 at hardpoint at Anaheim. And then you fast forward to Miami. They were 2-3 in the hardpoint and 0-3 in the control. And again, you take a look at Hugh's stats. The guy's insane. As an individual player, he's great. But this game, again, by far away from any other one that we've had in the past, is showcasing that an individual, although they might be able to have an impact on the map, they cannot single-handedly win you a series. They might be able to win you a couple of maps, but they can't just continually bring you wins. It's so hard to be a consistent top fragger in this game because of the extra body that's on the floor and how the specialists work and things like that. So, yes, Hugh is an incredible player. No one's denying that. He's insane. And in the part of a solid team, he can absolutely be that shining star. But he's not the glue. He's not the gorilla glue to put all the pieces back together. You got to find a way to get this full team functioning as one solid force. Now, to kind of talk more on that, I could speak on days upon that and that mindset and specifically, but I had a chance to sit down and talk to MarkyB, and he put it in incredible words. So tune in right now to this segment of You Have My Attention with MarkyB, coach of Splyce. Joining me is MarkyB, a leader and coach of Team Splyce. You have my attention, sir. First and foremost, I gotta just ask the question. Obviously, post-roster mania, Hugh joins the roster. Obviously, a lot of people look at that as being a big influx to the strength of this roster. But there have been, a couple of moments where the team has, fallen to touch short, I think, of where the community's expectations are. As a coach, kind of tell me the value that Hugh brings and kind of maybe some of the eye-opening experience that you've been able to have as far as what else this team has needed to work on now that you have a new addition in Hugh to the roster.
Well, I think as far as what Hugh brings to the team, I think that he, although he's very young, he brings a wealth of experience, especially at at that like championship caliber sort of strength squads. I think that he is incredibly talented individually. I think he just ticks all the right boxes, and I think obviously with his relationship with Temp as well, I think that was just an easy choice there when we found out we were able to bring him in. In terms of I guess difficulties, I think that one of the main things that when Hugh was brought into the roster was that obviously we had Jerd as the grapple player, and
sure.
it sort of put us in a position where we obviously wanted Hugh because of his incredible talent, but it meant we had to sort of move some pieces around and make him fit in correctly. Originally, our choice was to move Jerd to Tempest and have Hugh be the grapple, but since then we've made some changes again, and now Jerd's back in his more comfortable position, and Hugh, he's just one of those players that can realistically do it all. So I think that he right now is just in a comfortable position as well with Tempest. He's still just doing his thing and just being able to pick up loads of kills, and I think that there wasn't really too much of a transition there for him. I think that more so it's made Jerd a lot more comfortable now with the transition back to grapple, because he's been using that throughout the whole game, and I think the way he plays this game sort of just suits that. And I think also he was able to set up a lot of grapple plays, like sort of breaks and stuff a little bit better than Hugh. Hugh could more so use it to get places faster and get kills, whereas Jerd does do that, but I think also he has a good balance of when we're breaking hill being like, yo guys, wait a second, I'm gonna grapple to bait, because he's a very selfless player. So I think that it's just been better as a team since then. That's the change that happened in the last week. So since then I think we've been looking better, and obviously that and our main focus is just playing as a team more. I think that's been an issue over the last month and a half. I think that we've not really improved or got worse in our teamwork, but I'd say that the other teams have just got better. I think we're at a point in the game now where everyone's sort of realised the correct way of playing this game, but also fighting together. There's a high amount of HP, obviously, in comparison to other Call of Duty titles. And I think that challenging together and stuff is like a high priority thing that we really didn't take into account. We weren't really, obviously we did know that was important, but it's putting more emphasis on that and making sure whenever the opportunity is there to set up group challenges together, team shooting, etc. So I think that's been my main focus, and the focus of the team as well is just improving on the little things in the game that can make us a championship caliber squad.
Now, speaking of trying to get to that the championship caliber, you guys got what a lot of people have pinned up to be the most difficult pool as far as the draw came in Pool H. Obviously, there's a lot of history between your guys' squad and Team Heretics. It's a 2-2 split there, but you also are dealing with Aspire Esports and Hybrid Gaming, which a lot of people are looking at as potentially being dark horse runners from the Game Fuel Open bracket. So when it comes down to your pool in specific, what do you think are some of your strengths and maybe potentially some of your weaknesses against that caliber of teams that you'll be facing up against in the first couple of days?
I wouldn't really say we have any weaknesses against that caliber squad, but I think that it's Call of Duty Championships. You've seen freak results and stuff in the past.
Right.
We're obviously going to be favourites for all three series that we play, but at the same time, I think that we're just focused on ourselves, making sure that we continue to improve. And if we know if we come in with our A game at Champs, we're going to beat those teams. So we're not taking anyone lightly, I guess. We're not obviously looking too much into the quality of the other teams. I think that we've obviously, as you say, we've been out of the amateur teams available. I think that we've got a somewhat difficult pool, but at the same time, like I said, we should be able to, if we're at our performance level that we should be at, that we should be able to beat those teams. So I think that I've not really thought too much about that since the draw yesterday. I mean, when the draw happened yesterday, we were in the middle of a scrim, and we didn't really think too much of it. We sort of knew we had a 50% chance of getting Heretics or AG.
Right.
Our main focus is just our self-improvement, and that's the way we're looking at things right now.
Now, is that mentality kind of a product or maybe just a preemptive thing? You know, obviously there's been a little bit of the controversy with you guys not being involved with any of the two pre-lands that are going on when it comes to boot camping. Was that a mindset that was pre-built as far as let's just focus on ourselves no matter who we play? Or is that kind of a product of maybe not having the opportunity to have the same experience as the other 8 teams that are going to those boot camps?
I think that's just got to be our mentality going into champs. I think that that's the mentality you have to have rapid improvement. I think that that's like the mentality that every team should have going into this event. So, and touching on the boot camps as well, I think that although we're obviously missing out, which is a bit, obviously it's not the best, we'd obviously rather be there, but
Sure.
at the same time, I think that it's not going to be I don't think it's going to be the deciding factor on our tournament. I think that there's obviously a lot of pros and there's also some cons there. A lot of people don't look into boot camps, like the likes of being around in the same room as all the other teams, so it's not really, you're not able to sort of maybe go in depth as much as you'd be able to at home, and maybe not go play as much S&D or go over S&D as much, or go over the little things in the game because you're not wanting to showcase it to other teams that are in their same room as you. I think but obviously I would definitely say that the overwhelming pro of a boot camp is just the level of practice and whatnot. But at the same time, it's only two. I'm pretty sure the one we would have been invited to, which was the Optic and Phase etc. one, that's only like a 2-day boot camp, and realistically, I think that we've got 2 weeks now going to champs. And I think that our main focus right now is just, like I said, just improvement. And I think 2 days, although would definitely benefit. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I think that it's not going to be the major deciding factor on our turn, and I think that we're just looking to the positive sides of that and knowing that we can work on S&D and stuff like that, and trying to just, focus on just ourselves really.
So just kind of the last thing for you guys, it's been 2 top 8 finishes for you in the last couple of events. It's been a lot of question marks regarding the control specifically. You guys have kind of been back and forth on your hard point stats as well as your search and destroy stats, but lately it seems like control has been a little bit all over the place. Can you speak to maybe why that might be happening, or kind of the things you might be focusing on as far as trying to tune up to be more well-diverse when it comes to the control map pool?
Yeah, I mean, control was such a weird one for us at Miami, because going into that event, we were actually looking the strongest. Our stats guy tracks our stats throughout all of our scrim practice and whatnot, and our control rate was at like 80% throughout all scrims against the best teams in the world. And then we go into the event and we don't win a single control, and it really didn't make sense to us because we felt that we were very strong in that game mode. I think when it comes down to it, I think there was a lot of rounds here and there that were maybe making sloppy mistakes that we weren't in practice, things that were costing us, like losing a freak round, the other team gets streaks and it spirals from there.
Sure.
Things like that. I think that we obviously need to work on those sort of situations and making sure those little minuscule mistakes aren't happening. I think that's been something we've been focusing on, and me and obviously the whole team is just obviously focused on just improving on control. Just more so the little sort of situational plays, because I think that's where we were sort of struggling. Because when it comes down to like the setups on spawn traps and stuff like that, we've got all that down. It was more so like just someone throwing their life away at the wrong time, and just knowing when your life is so valuable that you need to just play your life, etc. I think that was a real issue of ours. We would just go 5 down out of nowhere when we had complete control around. And I think that's been just, like I said, focus. So I think we should be better at control. Hardpoint, S&D. I think our S&D is always going to be good with this team. We're obviously looking to improve it though. I think that we've got a good bunch of S&D players that are able to make plays and are confident to do so and able to work together in those like 2v2, 3v3 situations. We have a lot of players that are with a lot of experience, so I think our S&D is always going to be good regardless, but obviously looking to improve on that, getting some S&D practice in over the next couple of weeks. Hardpoint just continue to obviously, I mean, Hardpoint's the bread and butter. Everyone's scrimming every single day, you're playing it every single day, everyone's trying to improve, so I'm not really going to say anything different to any other teams there. It's like we're looking to improve on that, so yeah.
Fair enough. MarkyB, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me this evening. It's awesome, and obviously best wishes for the team. And again, a lot of people are considered to be one of the toughest pools out there. Obviously a lot of confidence for you guys, and rightfully so. So best of luck to you guys, and hopefully you guys can make a championship run here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, massive shout outs to MarkyB. I'll be candid. I was actually surprised that we were able to connect as easily as we were. I thought that anybody from Splyce was going to be hard to get a hold of. So thank you very much, Mark, for hanging out with me and kind of letting me pick your brain for a little bit as far as this team, the changes that are coming into play, and how you guys are kind of dealing with some of the losses that you've faced and, you know, growing for this pool in specific. This is a tough pool. I'm not even going to put predictions on it. I'm just going to give you the facts. There are a lot of very high-powered SOGs in this pool as you take a look at it. Aspire Esports in specific, Fastball and Robbie B. I'll tell you after watching them for a couple of sets just earlier tonight with Checkmate Gaming that they're looking very scary and very dangerous, and they will not let off the gas pedal. As soon as they find a little bit of success, they'll take it and run with it. Heretics, we've seen great moments from Vortex. We've also seen some not great moments from Vortex. So that's going to be an interesting kind of battle to mix up between the two of them. And even at Hybrid Gaming, there's a number of players in there that have been looking very, very solid for them. In specific, you take a look at Pander and Spoof, two CWL styled players that were able to get through the PLQ, experience with one another on Cyclone and with Sage. They're another hard-stuck duo that is looking very, very scary. So there's a lot of consideration, I think, for the SOGs in specific. And looking at a team like Splyce, you're really hoping that Hugh brings a lot to the mix, and he's able to try to turn around that front line. SMGs are dominating right now when it comes down to the meta, and, you know, I don't want to say that needs to be the case, but you need to try to enable Hugh as best as possible. You know, you can't just rely on him to go off and do his own thing. You got to set yourself up, and honestly, I could see any of these games going any direction. Again, it just comes down to who's best prepared, who's coming in most cohesive with their own team, and who can find a way to adapt and adjust while they're in the middle of pools. Because again, you got a lot of time to break down film of not only yourself, but also your opponents during the more elongated pool stage. So you got to have faith, I think, when it comes to MarkyB being a really solid mind for the game, and this team being so solid on paper that this team should be able to get through pools. But I'm not going to put a prediction on it. I'm not even going to tell you where I think they're going to finish, because I honestly can't make that prediction call. It's just going to be really down to what happens, you know, in the first set of matchups, and who is able to shut down the open teams and not let them surprise, because I think there's a ton of surprise potential and upset potential in these two open teams specifically, and a lot of question marks, not only around Splyce, but also around that of the Heretics. So it's going to close things out for this episode on Splyce. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Again, we're in the home stretch. You can feel it. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. If you missed a couple of videos, get on back there. Go ahead and rewatch them. Get on social. Push these videos. Get the Call of Duty community behind it. I think it's a very valuable tool for all of you guys that sit down and watch all the streams like I do with, you know, all the monitors going on and stuff like that. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Until then, hope you keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.